talking about international student support and talking about some of my friends that I have going to College of Marin, and they're from different countries but kind of living under the similar circumstances. So my first friend, this is my friend Glacy. She's from Brazil and she's a business major and she works as a nanny. She came to this country as an au pair to find work and also just kind of, I guess, gain some new experience because she already previously got a degree in Brazilian studies, I guess, but she wanted, I guess, to come here and gain something more valuable and try to get more of like a business type of idea in the United States. So now she's working here. And this is my friend Nicholas. He's from Germany and he's a psychology and sociology major, and he also came here as an au pair. Both of them like work really hard, and I mean they go to school full time. They work after classes and they're paying for housing, so it's a lot of burden on them. So the main problems these guys face is that they pay about 6 to 7 times as much as I do, which is roughly around like $6,000 to $7,000 a semester, which is incredibly high. In my perspective, it's just, I know that there are some international students who can afford to do that. They have families who are supporting them and who actually are able to do this on a regular basis, but for people like them, they are working, they're paying for really high prices in housing and renting, and they're getting very little job assistance or any sort of financial aid of any sort because they're foreigners. And the thing is that like they're not dreamers, they're not I guess, and they're not people who are from countries that are, I guess, what are they called? I guess they're not refugees or anything, but they are people who are hardworking, are dedicated, and but they still are having some of these struggles. So I asked both of my friends what they had to say, and my friend Glacy said, one of the things I wish school would help me more with as an international student is to get prepared for the work market after graduation, how to improve my resume, how to get an interview, how to proceed an interview, and those things can be a barrier when your background is different or you come from a different country. So she kind of was thinking like there should be more support, especially in the job sector, because I guess when you go into these fields, it's like a lot of times it's like if you have the money to do it, you can get a good job. So for some of these people it's easy, but for people like Glacy, it's like it can be difficult because she comes from a different background and she's not from here. So my other friend Nicholas was saying that I've been thinking about forming some sort of club for international students at COM. As an international student at college, you'll be faced with a lot of struggles, beginning with the new culture and language. In order to create an easy transition, foreign students into their college support and integration are key. My greatest struggles, which I miss at COM, is support for international students in financial resources and transfer support. So I feel that there's some sort of responsibility that College of Marin should provide for these people, because in all schools I feel like generally should. And the thing is that like the laws aren't going to change. Like if you are from out of the country, then there is some sort of standardized, like you will pay more for school, but there should be maybe more scholarships, more, I guess, a system kind of like the financial aid system we have here, where it's like if your background is like you don't have as much money, you should get more support. So I think there should be something along those lines for international students as well. And some of the solutions I was thinking was, like Nicholas said, maybe creating a club for international students that are by international students for international students to kind of come together with people even from the United States to like come together and gain more knowledge and try to maybe have a better transition to the culture, to the language, and getting more financial aid. So yeah, this is kind of a poster I created as like an example for
nice
the
poster.
club and trying to possibly get people to get together. So that's it for my part of the presentation. I was just wondering if you guys had any suggestions or ideas.
Well, I think that somehow marketing, advertising for them to rent rooms, you know what I mean, to get cheaper housing would probably be a huge, that's not something, I mean, I don't know, I guess that's something that College of Marin could contribute to.
I just recently talked to a woman that from this college, and she was saying that they've been talking about for a while possibly putting housing at Indian Valley College, and she was saying like, I don't know how far out that they're actually going to do it or if they're ever going to do it, but it seemed like it was a discussion that was had, and it seems like maybe that would be a good idea, especially for people who like probably have, you know, I guess more financial aid problems or people who need that housing.
Right, I think the housing when they get here has got to be one of the biggest things, you know.
Especially College of Marin, Marin.
It's totally. So, I mean, there's got to be maybe like some incentive, like a program where if somebody rents a room, College of Marin pays $100, $200 a month, or so. You know what I mean?
Or even with like a fellow college, like you could get reduced tuition if you host a foreign exchange.
Something, yeah, some
like
incentive. Some incentive to open your home.
Yeah, because AFS kind of had that, like, this program I went with to travel abroad. They had it where, like, I think they had, like, a discount if you offered to host a student, they would, like, reduce the price by, like, 20%, I think, like that, for your kid to go travel. So it's the idea, like, if you create incentives for people to want to host people, I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, and people don't even know. I mean, so just marketing, there's probably a lot of people that would take in a foreign student, you know, that just would never even think of that or wouldn't know, you know.
Or maybe even could use the company, you know.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Somebody who could help them and they could help them, you know, it's like it would be a symbiotic relationship. Also too, I would look into like fundraising and grant writing, like maybe organizing some sort of fundraiser or something, like some sort of, I don't know, car wash or something like that to create like a scholarship program for them, and then maybe look into, because there's tons of grants that are unused all the time, and I think it just takes a certain amount of effort in writing those proposals, so maybe coming up with a team of people that want to do that kind of work and want to find grants for these kids.
I just think it's like unfortunate because like Marin is already like, it's not super diverse, and this is kind of like pushes like less international students to be here just because it's so high cost. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's why it comes down to the housing. I think that's the biggest thing. The school, you know, cost of school, there's nothing you can really do about it, but
like, and if you asked me this a year ago, like I totally wouldn't even have known that this problem was a thing. Like but I met these two people and they both were saying the same thing. Yeah. Which was like they both came as au pairs. They both were coming to this country to like.
So do they live then with the people, the kids that they take care of? If they're au pairs, do they live at the houses?
The one, my friend Glacy, I'm not sure about Nicholas. I haven't asked him about like his housing situation, but at least Glacy, she was living with the family for like a really long time. She just recently like moved out and found roommates, so she's living now in a house and paying rent and whatnot.
Yeah, because I think living with the family, you know, would
Yeah, so if maybe there could even be a program where maybe like there would be some sort of like I mean, it sounds kind of 1950s, but it's some sort of like au pair system where like you could match families with international students that wanted to do that kind of work. That could also be a good way to motivate, and you could give like Marin families some sort of like, oh, and we'll give you like free classes at College of Marin if you want to take like a pottery class. I don't know, something like that. I think like some of the upper echelon people would go for it because they'd also like the feeling of like, oh, look at.
I think a lot of it's just what you just said. You didn't even know the problem existed. I think a lot of it would just be something like marketing, you know, making people aware. Because there are a lot of people in the county that have houses that would rent a bedroom cheap to a student. You know what I mean?
If they knew that the student was vetted.
Yeah. So I think it might be a marketing, you know, an education thing.
So I would maybe first work on like growing the club and growing the kind of alliances and building that, and then focus on like the first goals, which are like housing and tuition rates, and then
housing has got to be the most expensive.
Yeah, that's the number one, I think.
Yeah.
Because no matter what tuition rate is, if you can't afford to pay both, then what you're gonna pay is rent first. Like you're not gonna want to pay tuition and then you lose out on an education, which gets you further.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine. She like told me that, because I know I'm paying like maybe like $1,000 a semester at COM, but they're paying like 6 to 7, and she's like, she was struggling because she was in I met her in my physics class and my math class last semester, and she wasn't doing so well in those classes, but so she had to switch majors and then switch classes, so that means like switching a whole different like perspective. So basically now she has to dedicate more money to a different sector that she wasn't focusing before, because before she was thinking like computer science or something. But
so again, I think though, like
really
anything else in life, you got to build the foundation first before you put up the house. So before you can like fully fix the issue in like 2 seconds, you gotta first build your troops, as they were.
Yay.